Hello, hello. We
I
are
never
back.
said one.
I never say one, Connor, because when I would say one, I unmute both of us,
and then everyone would just hear him say one every time.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why when you see bloopers, they go 3, 2, and pull off. I mean, don't you watch bloopers? Come on.
Everybody watches bloopers.
Yeah.
Anyways, but yeah, so we're back with the Burning Wheel, and yeah, let's have that scene with the Matriarch. So, Josh, tell me how Alrik is Alrik. I said Alrik for some reason. Alrik is approaching this situation. This is probably like the next day, right? Like Alrik is gonna go talk to a priest lady. What does this look like?
I need to think a little more about the my justification for being there.
Mm-hmm. Let me. So your belief says the temple is the center of the people's influence in White Sea.
David, you're muted.
And sorry, what were you saying, Dave?
Thanks. I was just saying. I assume I don't know you're there, right? You didn't tell me you were going there.
No,
like
I'm just going out.
All right, I had a feeling. I just wanted to establish that.
Going out with who?
Not you.
Hopefully not this old lady.
Oh,
She's like 80 or something.
you're like 80 or something.
80-year-old people need love too. Okay.
Oh gosh. Anyway,
You're welcome for that.
did not need that mental image. So yeah, it looks like your justification, right, is the temple is the center of the people's influence. And so if you can get the priestesses right on your side.
Well, I mean, that's the. Yeah, if you're putting it bluntly, I'm looking. I think Alrik is going. No, Alrik is going to find out. Crow Inquisitors are known to be heretics, right?
Of what
Or
religion?
That's true.
Right?
They're
yeah.
known to be a weird, different religion, or is that not a
They're
reputation
a weird,
they have?
So I don't know.
Are they like cultish?
They're
in their
basically a cult
reputation?
of another religion. So they're like heretics from a religion
Some
that is
weird
already
religion, yeah.
not ours. So they're this far away from what you can get from us religious.
They're basically just some weird splinter cult that's been wandering in the desert. So
But do they have the reputation of being a cult?
yes, pretty much.
Okay. So it'd be easy enough to go and ask about that. Ostensibly wanting to know. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think he goes to the temple and wants to speak to the head matriarch. Or the matriarch.
Yeah.
I don't know how it.
Mhm.
Insert important specific religious terminology here.
And that would be the Matrix. So yeah. Man, you're 7'1". I forgot about that. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is she like 4'8" or something?
Well, I mean, I didn't write down. Unlike Dungeons and Dragons, they don't have a space on here specifically for height and weight, so I never think about it. It's weird how character sheets will always make you think about things that maybe you forget about if they're not on there. Yeah, she's definitely much shorter than that.
Shorter than 4'1" or 4'8"?
Oh no, I didn't. I meant shorter than 7'1". Shorter
Okay.
than you is what I meant.
Okay.
Yeah, and so yeah, you tower over her basically. But yeah, so you walk in, right? And maybe you catch the briefest glimpse of Theo as he goes into another room, right, with some other priestesses. And maybe you're not entirely sure if you actually saw him. But you're like, wasn't that Crow Inquisitor? Never mind. And then the matriarch steps up to you. So did you come leave him send a message ahead of you?
I guess depending on how it's set up, I was going to just walk up to the reception desk and
Yeah, that's fine.
make an appointment type of deal, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how it's set up. I don't think I would send a messenger ahead. I'd probably just
that makes sense.
show up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so let me find. I don't remember what I named this person. Was it this? I'm trying to remember what I named the priestess that Theo ended up like getting it on with.
Oh, yeah, I don't remember.
Whoa.
You're not here for that?
No, I was here for that.
Oh, Vishna. Her name was Vishna.
Can't say things like that, kid. Come on.
Yeah. So, the same priestess who we all know, is kind of a thing with Theo now. But I mean, you don't know that, just the audience, as his players and stuff. She walks up to you, as you like enter, right, and kind of like look around, like, okay, because so you don't frequent the temple, right? Yeah.
No.
Is this the first time you've ever been in the temple? Because you're not like officially part of this religion, so.
I think maybe.
Mm-hmm. What did you do the last time you were here? What was it for?
Probably just delivering a message or checking on somebody, or do they? Probably just fetching somebody, to be honest.
Yeah.
Or maybe a wedding if they host those here.
I think so. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, a wedding for one of the
soldiers.
officers
Yeah,
in the group, or I've been in and out of the place a couple times. I know roughly.
Yeah.
The walk between the sanctuary, or the sanctuary area and the front door.
Yeah. Yeah, and so you step in and kind of like look around, and there's always priestesses waiting kind of near the door to like answer questions and stuff like that. And so this lady steps up to you, and again, she's very, very beautiful. She's olive, dark olive skin, and very sort of like ethnicity looking, as would come from like the Middle East, so like Persian. Has like these deep like amber eyes. They're very, I don't know, she has this look about her that's very like voluptuous. Like she knows that she's beautiful, and she flaunts it, right? She even in the garment of the priestesses, like they all wear the same garment. She's found some ways to like accentuate it, right, in the right ways. And so any male who is coming to this temple is probably going to notice her right away. And
that sounds heretical. You should probably kill her.
No, so that's the thing, right? Like this is a very different religion from the from the Church of Serragon. It's much more loose.
I don't actually know anything about this religion, so
yeah.
who cares?
I mean,
I say it's heretical.
We know that that apparently, a priestess of the religion is totally fine with just like having sex with a random stranger that she just met.
Well, she was also hiding, so she might not be a bad practitioner of that religion.
Yeah, it's true. That's true. We haven't seen much in the way of because we haven't gotten any real bits and bobs from the training montage that Theo's been having. So,
is there what's the religion in Alrik? Is that?
It's a good question.
More like animistic, or
no? That would be Hammerlund. Alrik is. I'm trying to think of an analog in our world. What would be a good analog for this? Because they don't treat the religion as like Vikings would, for example, like Norsemen. Like they don't like make sacrifices to their gods and like get power for battle or whatever. Not even the Year Guard, really. Like the main god of the religion, and I can pull up this information. The main god of the religion is basically like the Allfather, right? He's the head honcho who basically he actually, so he was the only steward who took the guard people and took them to this land that, and cultivated them and guided them. But he was lonely, and this is actually one of the like myths. He was lonely, and so he made for himself children, basically out of like metal and other like natural materials. He basically like forged them. And so he basically has like a bunch of robot children.
That's pretty baller.
Yeah. And so I'm trying to think of how. I mean, I don't know how they really treat religion. I don't think I've ever really touched on it. What do you guys think? I know that much at least, but I'm not sure about like the specifics of how they practice the religion or anything.
To be honest, I think the Urgard give it only as much thought as it comes up in their swearing all the time. But like beyond the fact that they have all sorts of colorfully creative swear words about it, they don't really think all that hard about it.
Yeah.
I think maybe it's leaning a little bit toward almost like the Vorin religion from Stormlight, where that somebody else will deal with it for us. In terms of
your job.
It's not our job to pray.
Yeah, so
there are priests. The Vathengard do the
yeah.
praying and the studying. And
so do they? Okay, that would make sense, I suppose.
Because they're kind of all of the things that require thinking.
Yeah.
And we're all of the things that require doing.
Not thinking. Yeah.
And not thinking.
Yeah.
So like, we might, the closest to reverence you might get is a particularly colorful swear, to be honest. I don't think
so
the Urgard give it much thought.
The Allfather, his name is Aldgard. I think it is probably around kind of similar to the Vorin religion in some ways. I think actually no, yeah, I think let's steal a little bit from the Vorin religion. I think I like that idea of not only are the Vathengard, right, like they're the ones who are the priests, like not all of them are, but there is a specific section of them, like specific caste of the Vathengard that are they're basically like the Ardents, right? Like they especially in the relationship with the Urgard, right? They are the ones who go and like help them with their specific callings in life, right? I think that's part of the thing, right? Because
are we just gonna steal the whole 9 yards?
Not the whole 9 yards, but I'm thinking in terms of, because again, like they don't do the Urgard aren't intimately involved in religion, right? And so the priests, their job is to, because Aldgard is a very like hands-on deity, right? He's like, do your work, do it well, right? Whatever you choose to do it well, and I will honor you, right? Like you're being a good guard if you do that well, right?
Okay.
And
so like education wrapped up in religion.
Yeah, it's basically like
priest caste.
So there's like a bunch of priests, like there's the priest of blacksmithing, right? And he'll go around to the blacksmiths and help them with their craft. I think there's a lot of focus on hands-on crafting and that sort of thing.
So a master craftsman and a high priest are very similar.
Yeah.
Or synonymous, maybe.
Yeah. I think I like that. And then, right, like they're the ones who also like help burgeoning like scientists and politicians, with their specific. I'll think of some other ways to differentiate it, but I like the idea of the calling system kind of from Vorin religion as kind of a piece there. But yeah, so that's what you're familiar with.
I think
right?
they could be very symbolic too, in terms of having like carvings and sculptures and statues. Maybe.
Yeah. But yeah, I think there's not as much. Like it's even though the culture of the Urgard and the Vathengard are very have been described as kind of Viking-esque, right? They definitely don't act like that in religion. It's very much a hands-off sort of religion. There's not a whole lot of like pagan mysticism or anything. That's another thing that actually differentiates Fjallreich from its neighbor country, Hammerland, which is some splinter groups that have delved much more into mysticism and magic and stuff than Fjallreich has. Like they're almost like a secularist religion, right? Like they believe that their god is not like he's their father, right? He created them, but that is like that's almost literally like that. He's literally their great grandfather. That is the way they treat him, right? He's still alive, but he's not necessarily a god in the sense that everybody else treats gods in this world, right? he's just our great grandfather, and we should treat him with respect, and he'll bless
So then
us.
they have a funny view of the other religions then who think that they can actually get something get something from a god.
Mm-hmm.
They believe, mostly because of the animistic people in Hammerland, delving into that mysticism, that just in general, priests and religion outside of the very hands-off sort of approach is
it needlessly
mystic
mystifies
and a little
things.
It's more complicated than it needs to be, and maybe a little off-putting, unnerving almost, because some people claim to have gotten magic powers from it.
Yeah, and I think maybe it's possible that some of the Fjellreich believe that it's not actually a thing. You can't get magic from deities, and people who claim to do that are just actually using another power source that it's just semi-related. But yeah,
he's got a battery in his belt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So Vishna comes up to you. It's a pretty girl. And she kind of looks up at you demurely, and she does whatever the kind of specific etiquette bow is to just a common citizen, but being respectful. And looks up at you and says, "Now, I know I haven't seen you before. What do I owe the pleasure?" And kind of looks at you almost not defiantly necessarily, but confidently, a confident defiance at anyone who would question her or say that she's less than she thinks she is, that sort of thing.
Normally, I avoid churches like the plague. But I'd like a chance to speak with the Matriarch.
Yeah, and her
and when I say plague, I put emphasis on in your direction.
Yeah. She kind of pouts. She kind of puts on a little pouty face. And she says, "No, that's not any fun at all. Are you sure you don't need just a regular priestess to accomplish your goal? Just a quick prayer in the other room or something like that?"
If I was looking for a quick prayer in the other room, there are better places to find it.
Okay, so the implications in that statement, because we know her, right? And she was not thinking.
I'm positively clear. I know exactly what I just said, Caleb. It's knowledge. Perfect. I'm looking for.
Perfect. Yeah, she just frowns. He says, "Well, right this way then," and then she just turns on her heel and kind of gestures you over.
You just follow her.
Yeah. Yeah, she leads you to another room, one of the side, prayer rooms or whatever, and knocks politely on the door. And you hear, "Yes." And she says, "Blessed Matriarch, there is a man here to see you. He claims to be seeking knowledge of some kind. Says that you can help. Send him in." And then she gives you another look and kind of raises an eyebrow, and she says, "Now I don't." She says, "Well, after you're finished with this business, are you positive that you don't need prayers?"
Quite certain.
You need some prayers, woman. You need a lot of prayers.
Do we not have a
You misplaced a word, didn't you?
Well, I have one similar, but not quite as genial. Whatever, it doesn't matter.
So yeah, she just frowns and
turn that frown upside down.
She says, "A pity," and then just walks away. And yeah, so you you're welcome to just like walk in basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you open the door and you see this elderly woman. I double checked her age. She's actually not 80. She's no, I don't remember the specific age. I gotta look at it again.
How many life paths does she have?
She has 6 life paths. She's 58.
Oh.
So yeah, she, reaching her 60s. She looks older than she actually is, just through stress, and her hair is pretty much all gray now. And yeah, she's kneeling on this prayer cushion basically in front of this altar with the likeness of the goddess Fereshteh on it. This wind goddess that you become passively familiar with in your time in White Sea. And she's goddess of wind and war and a couple other things. But yeah, she's like the patron goddess of this culture basically. And the matriarch is just kneeling in front of it. And she seems to be done with prayers more or less, but she's just kind of like kneeling, in a relaxed posture. And she kind of she's looking up at you as you walk in. She says, you do not know if I've had the pleasure. You look familiar, but kind of waits for you to give her her name.
Alrik, ma'am. I'm captain of the Outriders. Or what is my leader, captain? What is it?
I think captain? Technically it's the town guard that you're the leader of, and the Outriders think are part of that.
Okay, town guard.
That's what the town guard is called. It's called the Outriders.
Yeah. Oh, is it? Okay. Yep. Well, because I assume the Outriders are just the people who did the outriding, and then there were other people in the city,
it's a symbolic name.
Okay.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
Yeah, the Outriders are all of the town guard military people.
Okay.
So, yeah. So, Connor just died.
Oh no.
There you go.
Whoops.
That means all the videos are out of order now.
Yep.
I'm Connor now. No, I'm David.
You're David, yeah.
Oh, excellent.
Welcome back. After that short commercial.
Let me reorder these real quick.
I thought it did it again. When you turned off the cameras, I thought it did it again because we all stopped talking. I was just kind of like, what?
And of course, Josh is going to refuse and then started himself, as he always does.
I accepted and then it didn't work, and then I did it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, anyway, so, what was I just saying? Oh yeah, she looks at you. Yeah, she looks at you and she says, yes, of course. Alrik, I do believe we have met before. You've come here for a wedding or two, I believe, right?
Correct.
I believe I recall seeing you in the crowd, and I have, of course, heard the name Alrik around. You've been the talk of some of the young priestesses around here.
Oh joy!
Since you've been a little bit,
I need to get rid of this place.
Since you've been, and so this is the thing, right? Like, Alrik and Caspian, you're familiar with this religion. This is how they are. They are like this. This is what the religion is like.
In his mind is he runs in his mind. This is why don't frequent this place.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. She says, of course we've seen you in a couple official functions now, since Caspian. Yeah, she says Caspian. She doesn't treat him by any of his names.
Of course she does.
Since Caspian has promoted you, and there were a few whispers. Of course, I deny any knowledge of such affairs, but
I'm gonna tell you that happened, but I didn't know it happened.
Yeah. And she shakes her head and just kind of smiles. Oh, to be young again. Now, Alrik, what are you seeking? You said you require knowledge, and she kind of brushes off her knees and stands up, kind of clasps her hands in front of her and looks at you expectantly.
The Crow Inquisitors.
Yes.
I've heard them called heretics.
heretics.
No.
Now, that really does depend on your definition of the word heretic, because, I mean, for us, Nasrin, they're not heretics, necessarily, just unbelievers, heathens, pagans, you could say. Of course, the Serrano call us pagans and heathens, but, it really depends on which side you are on, who is the pagans and the heathens. But yes, as a strict definition in terms of Nasrin culture, which I realize that you're not technically one of us, but you've been living here long enough. I feel like you've at least somewhat has come to associate yourself with this small little town. But yes, they're not quite heretics. Just not one of us. Heretics of the Serrano religion, certainly. But that's just another wrong religion for us.
You speak with more of the people of the town than I get to in my day-to-day work. What do the people feel of the Crow Inquisitors' presence?
They're a little bit more willing to treat with them and trade things than they were when they first arrived. There was definitely some hesitation on the part of many when the Crow Inquisitors started frequenting the establishments of Whitesea, but I believe it's settled down somewhat. Of course, they are all Serrano, and there are some hard-won prejudices that won't just go away overnight, but I'd say in terms of Serrano people in Whitesea, which undoubtedly there are many, this town was indeed a Serrano holding before the beloved Sahib liberated us. He says with so much sarcasm.
Sarcasm?
Oh, no,
for sure.
It's dripping with sarcasm.
Okay.
And she says, in the scale of Serrano, they're okay.
She does like to talk.
Yes, she does.
Which is good, because Alrik doesn't. Let's see. Now I need to remember where I was going. At a point I was going somewhere. And then she started talking.
You were saying something about she gets to talk to a whole lot of people, and what do they think about the Crow Inquisitors. I'm not sure where from there.
I just realized I have a document I've written that I can guide me with this.
Oh.
I've been paying attention to other things, so. Oh, how do I want to approach this? I know that she's got because there's a kind of a minor nobility council of people, right?
In Whitesea?
Yeah. That are kind of the.
I feel like we talked about this at some point.
We talked about this, and I don't remember I didn't write it down.
Yeah. So exactly. Again, oh no, because this is the thing, right? Like this was a Serrano town, and so when Caspian strode in, like he just got rid of those institutions. There were some minor nobility, but they're still around, but they amount basically just to Serrano tradesmen now. They have no special privileges or titles really in this. As well as far as it goes in this town, right? Like they're even if they have titles, that doesn't mean anything in Whitesea.
Okay. There's not really a governing body outside of.
I mean, it's a military dictatorship. So,
okay.
Yeah. And it sounds like Caspian. So, question, Caspian, how firm of a control do you hold on the economy? Do you levy a whole lot of taxes, or do you kind of let the do you have a whole bunch of regulations, or do you kind of let the market do itself, or
Let's see, ask for donations to run his government.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably not too bad because it's kind of my thing. I'm supposed to be good with money, and also that's kind of a stupid way to ingratiate yourself to a new population.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm here. I tax you more now. Yeah, no, that's not going to go well. So probably not bad. It's at least better than the guy before.
So you're already rich, so you can afford to be kind to these people.
Right. Yeah.
In theory, economically speaking, if you want lower taxes, you need to be conquered over and over again by people who want to appear nicer than the one before.
Pretty much. Just hope you don't get a bad one in there somewhere.
So that the taxes will progressively go down. Because that's exactly how it works.
Capture unit all
I mean, it may work on a situational basis, but that doesn't mean it will always work like that.
Look at us, we're vulnerable. Come capture us and give us lower taxes.
A lot of it has to depend, or it depends on what Caspian's view on all this is, right? Like he as a person has always benefited from having lower taxes, because he's made a fortune on being a good merchant, and so he knows that will make other merchants happy if he lets them do this.
I suspect is he still running merchant trade route, or is he still running merchant business
to some extent, right? Or you were a moneylender, weren't you? Fully
conflict of interest, Mr.
Yeah,
Caspian?
no, I do the same thing I did before in that I give people money and then take more back from them.
Yeah. He's a moneylender.
What I always did, and yeah, that's basically still what I do.
Mm-hmm. Have you given out? So the last loan you gave out was to this guy, right? Who owned White Sea. I mean, the last one that meant anything. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense that I assume that's where most of my money comes from because. Yeah, I'm sure you have all sorts of minor loans that you've given out and gotten interest.
Because otherwise, I would probably need higher taxes. But that's why I have money, is because I do that.
Yeah.
So, I guess.
And that's an interesting thing to consider, like the effect that has on the government, because you're still a moneylender, right? Like that's still your job, and you're also a dictator. But like, you it's interesting because if you have low taxes, but then give out a bunch of loans to people, like that makes you seem like a pretty nice dude, right? Like, and even if you end up getting more money back, right, and screwing some people over, like, if you play
at least
it safe,
I was justified in it, and no one else can. Be like, you didn't earn that money. I could be like, well, no, I lent it to him. Sure, the interest rate was 150%, but
because what he's got is he's controlling reinvestment, and if he can keep the money in the town. Just keep spinning it over and generating value.
Everything in the area.
And eventually, all the money is his.
And there's nowhere else to trade because they're all dead or living here now because they don't have homes.
Right, that's the thing. I feel like you control you control the trade routes that go to the other main cities.
Right. Well, I mean, I burned all the towns. So there's nowhere else to trade with. Like you have to trade with me, and then it has to stay here because there's no one else to buy from.
Right.
So.
That being said,
this is why I should be the president.
Conversation at hand.
Yeah.
I'm sure all of this will actually fall apart.
Oh yeah, right. I'm sure I'm actually an amazing moneylender with 16 dice to roll every time I talk to somebody.
You are in my heart, David.
Oh, thank you.
I mean,
that's all that really matters.
So we want David to be good at usury? Is this something
are we
want
talking
him to
David
be good
now,
at?
or are we talking Caspian? Just to clarify, we're talking about Caspian, right?
We were talking about Caspian. Now we're talking about me. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I wasn't clear on that. That's funny.
That's actually kind of one of the funny things, though, is really that important. In terms of Burning Wheel resources, all of us are rather well off, given the standard of living that's increased since the Middle Ages. So.
Well, that's because without the resources the way they are for us, you don't have a character worth playing half the time.
Yeah.
If you want to play it on a grander scale, you need more resources and opportunity available.
Yeah.
Or you could just have really high stats and then play, just kill everybody.
I'm not convinced.
Yeah, but then when the tax man comes around, you realize that all your armor just fell
Smack
apart.
him in the face
When
with
you
a
have
hammer.
to make that
Your
resources
6 gray
roll,
hammer.
when you have to make that resources roll to keep up your standard of living so that you don't starve, and you can't,
and then you're a slave.
Then come talking to me about
then you
your
steal
6
it
gray
from somebody
hammer.
else with your 6 gray hammer. Come on.
Right, and that's the thing, right? That's why in Burning Wheel rules, that's what you be thinking about while you're regularly just playing the game. Is like, all right, I gotta remember that I need to end up with at least some cash die so I can actually succeed on this roll. So I need to get that somehow. Yeah.
I guess you could just steal the cash from somebody else.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what are you thinking, Josh? On here, what's your strategy?
I'm drinking pickle juice.
What about it?
I like pickle juice. I like pickles, but I don't want to go that far.
I'm not sure that's gonna help you with the lady.
I think because I don't want to continue in character because I'm not good at that yet.
That's fine.
I think Alrik suggests that, Caspian's been focused. I've been getting to know Caspian a bit through my position, working with him more closely, and I'm noticing he's kind of busy with, the preoccupied with the Crow Inquisitors and the other towns and the, just general high-level stuff, and he hasn't really been thinking too hard about the common people here in town, what they expect, hope for with this. He let the Crow Inquisitors just come show up and live outside our walls.
And they made a bunch of money.
Without really talking to anybody about it.
Yeah.
That's
what you do when you're the dictator.
I'm a little curious.
Dictatorship for you.
Things will be happier, more stable if he knows better what the people are interested in, what the people want.
Right.
And I think I might be in a good position to help facilitate help put forward the needs of the people. Because obviously he doesn't frequent this place any more than I do, but most of the people here do. And you've talked to more people than either of us put together.
Mm-hmm.
Generally suggesting, hey, how about, what are some of the things that you think Caspian should know about and should think about? What are some of the needs of the people here?
Yeah, see, this is the thing.
I'd like to be the conduit.
This is the thing, right? She gets this gleam in her eye, and I don't think Alrik recognizes it, because I don't think he's quite... It's very subtle for her, and you're not quite politically savvy enough yet to catch this. But I think we as the audience notice the glimmer in her eyes, and she senses some political maneuvering that she can do here, because she has something that you want, but she definitely doesn't want to just give this to Caspian, right? Because this is exactly where this is going. Even if she liked you, right, and she doesn't really know you, but she doesn't have any ill will towards you necessarily. Like, you work for Caspian, so the good things she gives you are going to go directly to Caspian. And so I think what she does is she gets this glimmer in her eye, and she looks at you and she says, now that sounds like the beginning of a deal, my good Alrik. Of course, I do care very much about the well-being of the people in White Sea, but I don't think just giving you a generalized opinion on what the populace is thinking is necessarily going to do much to help their plight. I think there might be more that needs to be done before the people will truly be represented in White Sea. And she says, I think you and I can work together, Alrik. I think there's some real good that can be done in this city. But I think it has to be done despite Caspian and not because of him.
I'm gonna need you to kill that lady. Thanks. Okay.
Why?
Yeah.
If she's dead, who's next in line to take over the temple?
I don't
the
care.
one we met earlier?
Oh wait, no, that's not her.
Yes.
Sure, we want the one we met earlier running the temple.
All the sex, all the time.
Yeah, just be safe. Do all of them. It's fine. I mean, kill all of them. It's an important distinction in this case, I guess.
I don't think the people would like that, Caspian.
You can blame me. It's fine.
The people rather like their prayer times. The priestesses.
Yeah,
Why am I
like
not
their
surprised?
prayer time.
It's cheaper than the place down the road.
Oh,
Anyways.
gosh. Well,
But hey, I have 50 wives. I'm more
Caleb.
devout than
Wait,
these
no,
people.
it's okay.
How do you know it's cheaper than the place down the road?
Yeah, how
Because
do
they
you
don't
know?
charge you. Did Theo get charged? Huh? How much did Theo pay? Theo paid nothing.
See, that's the thing, right? It was really Vishnu who was getting the better end of that deal, right? Because Theo, we've already established that Theo is very attractive. So.
I mean, I don't think prostitutes care how attractive their people are. They still have to pay.
No, exactly. No, that's what I'm saying. Like, it wasn't a business arrangement. Is what I'm saying.
I see.
Sure, it was. All right.
Anyway,
That's their excuse.
Yeah. Anyway, so she looks at you and she says, "I have been thinking of some revisions that might be able to be done to the governing body of White Sea. Are you in a position, Alrik, to institute changes like that?"
Governance is kind of... Well, here's the thing. I don't work for Caspian myself, but I don't really know this. I'm supposed to work for the people.
Exactly.
My payroll technically comes through the people, and without any people to actually tell me what to do, I default to listening to Caspian.
And that is a dangerous thing indeed.
I'm not comfortable with that arrangement completely.
And she smiles at you and then puts like a hand on your arm and she said, "There's some hope for you yet."
Strange.
And she says, "I think with the right persuading, we could put together a council of sorts. A group of influential people in Whitesea who gather to hear the plights of the people and listen to their voices. And then go to Caspian directly with their requests. Of course, we would have to do this with the might of the people behind us, with their voice being heard loud and clear, or else I believe Caspian will just shrug off this idea. But if we can gain enough momentum among the people first, we may be able to force Caspian's hand in this matter."
Caspian's smart. I don't think we'll need to come to force with it.
No, of course, not force, but social pressure.
Right.
Yeah, it should be
Alrik's in a bit over his head.
See, this is the thing, right? Like, whether or not this lady has the best interests of the people at heart, like, she immediately sees you as a tool to be used for her own ideas, right? And she's hoping that you'll see that they kind of line up, hopefully. But okay, so can she roll a persuade against you? Is that a thing that can happen here?
To sell me on this whole plan? Yeah, I think so.
Okay, all right, let's do that. Let us see. All right. So what is your will?
My will is 4.
Nice, you upgraded from store version.
Well, that's not hard to do.
Exactly. All right, well, she has 1 6. So let's see. See how this goes.
Thank goodness.
Nope. Yeah, so you're not convinced. You don't think this lady has your best interest in mind.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a really great time to smash her skull in with a hammer.
But if I do that...
That would escalate so many things.
I'll have angry priests coming after me.
Oh, then you can kill them too. It'll be okay.
Yeah, you would have very passionate priestesses coming after you, and not the kind of passion that you want.
I
don't think
he wants either passion.
I know.
Exactly. That's what I was looking to say.
I wanted to make a joke, so deal with it. Also, Theo probably would not like that.
No, and I'm not sure that I want to necessarily fight Theo.
Know that he wouldn't like that.
No, I'm pretty sure that he wouldn't like that.
We don't know he's here. Anyways.
Yeah. So now I'm trying to figure out exactly what I need to do here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that Caspian would take kindly to a self-proclaimed People's Council just walking up to him and making demands.
Of course, of course. That's why we would have to do this slowly and with, again, the people's voice behind it. We need to get them interested in the idea. Create enough outcry, and you may have...
And he sends the Marasi on you. And he tells me not to intervene.
That's why we would have to handle this delicately, Alrik.
Delicately.
Again, it is just an idea. It's a bit of a long-term solution. Think about it. Go get a drink. Think it over. I hope that you will talk to me again about this sort of thing. And in the meantime, I will offer you this piece of advice about the townspeople. Because I won't leave you with nothing in this arrangement. I mean, she looks up at you and she says, ask me a question. What would you like to know about the sentiments of the town?
I can come up with a couple of questions, but getting straight answers not necessarily guaranteed here. Do the people trust Caspian?
Do they trust Caspian? Well, I certainly don't, but I am not the people. That's an interesting question. I think that there are many in the town who appreciate Caspian for the influxing economy that he has provided, some, the incentive that he has given to many of the merchants and the tradesmen in the town. Anyone who has reason to gain by the deliberate burning and destruction of towns outside of Whitesea, they definitely probably appreciate
They
Caspian.
definitely probably?
They do probably appreciate Caspian.
Okay.
But trust is another matter entirely. I do not think that anyone in this town trusts Caspian. He's too new. He's not yet proven himself as a ruler.
A moneylender. Anybody that trusts me at all is stupid.
Exactly right. And she says, and given his past as a moneylender, and technically his present as a moneylender, moneylenders aren't people that we typically trust. Alrik. I believe many in this town do appreciate Caspian. Many in this town are hesitant about him. Some in this town even hate him. But I would say the majority are rather indifferent to him. But they don't trust him, no.
thank you for your time.
Of course. Feel free to call on me at any time, Alrik, or any of my priestesses. And I don't think she meant that as like a suggestive remark, right?
But that's certainly the way Alrik figures. That's what.
Yeah.
Yeah. That.
And who knows? Like
Alrik puts two and two together.
Yeah. Maybe
whether
she
or not
does.
That was.
Maybe she means that as like one of the possible reasons that you could go see a priestess, because that's just normal for them, right? That's just a thing that just kind of happens. But she also meant like going to prayer and all these other things, right? And so she just says it without a hint of like embarrassment. And I think you get this like weird thought. You're just like, how long has she been in this religion? Because like she might have been like just like any of those priestesses when she was younger. That's kind of an unsettling thought.
Yeah, that's not a thought he entertains for very long. It's an unwelcome thought that he smashes with a hammer and throws it away.
Yeah, we see the little chibi version of Alrik just like smashing the image with the hammer. That's funny.
What image? No, okay.
No, yeah, so...
I would assume it's probably the priestess he met before with this old lady's face on.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Honestly, if we're going with the chibi hammer deal.
Perfect.
That's probably the thought bubble appears. And then, If we're going anime, we're going to go anime here.
Suddenly this is an anime.
Okay. Suddenly this is an anime. Oh, boy.
So let us go ahead and take one more break. And we'll come back and figure out what we're going to do next, because neither Trevor nor Jared are here. So I don't know if we want to go full into the birthday party yet, but we'll see. We will see.
Yeah.
We'll take a break and figure it out.
Foisting off this birthday party.
I know,
Trevor keeps going AWOL.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, stick around. We'll be right back after these messages.